Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to spend some time with me on the video today. And we are going to be talking about the double standard on rules that we saw exhibited from Bassmaster at the Elite Series St. John's River tournament this past week. I want to point this out to everybody and sort of show you guys sort of the hypocrisy that exists here, and really let me know if you think it's justified. I mean, I do not think it's justified. I think the reason's obvious, so we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, just a couple quick housekeeping tips before we get started. Just want to remind everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. Free and easy to do so, man. We're trying to get to 150,000 subscribers. And also, guys, please check out my spring Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns. These are great resources to learn more about any of your favorite lakes across the country. It gives you some good spots to go to. I'll put that link in the description as well with all the other links I have in there, and really appreciate you guys using all that. Big thank you from me and my family. Okay guys, here's what happened at the Elite Series tournament down there. It was a big bed fest, and the thing that had really disgusted everybody is how everybody, or not everybody, but so many people were using the cheater box to find bass on their spawning nests, and then you'd be able to catch them using that forward-facing sonar, which first of all, this is so messed up to begin with. First of all, they don't need to be having any tournaments on top of spawn. I've talked about this repeatedly in the tournaments. It creates a plethora of problems for everybody. And let me give you an example. It's like fishing is already under attack from a lot of people that are sort of anti-fishing groups, and that's the last thing we need to give them any more ammunition. And when you're snatching a bass off of a spawning bed that's trying to reproduce and then put it in a live well and haul it around the lake, you're doing nothing but you're setting yourself up for bad publicity for no reason whatsoever. And it gets into this rule that I'm going to talk about here in a second. Now, imagine for a second that you've got grandma that's got a nice little dock on the lake. So, and grandma's got this 5-pound bass that lives underneath her boat dock, and she likes to come down there to have her coffee in the morning, and this bass is spawning down there, and she loves to watch this 5-pound bass. And then all of a sudden you have this flat brimmer that rolls in there, turns on his forward-facing sonar, skips a wacky rig up underneath grandma's boat dock, and jerks this 5-pounder out from underneath her, leaving all the, the eggs to be ate up by the bluegills as she watches in horror. What's the purpose of that? It's like, why do we have to do that? It's absolutely ridiculous. Number one, that we are allowing tournaments to occur during the spawn. That'd be like, allowing hunting season for does when they're in the middle of giving birth to fawns in the spring. It's absolutely stupid that we're doing that. And I hear the same thing. Everybody goes, "Oh, Randy, you're part of the problem. You've been fishing for spawning fish in tournaments." It's like, yeah, that's because we're forced to. Not to fish for spawning fish, but we're forced to fish during the times of the year when the bass are spawning, because the tournament organizations put the tournaments on top of them at the, even if people, have a problem with that. But here's what I want to talk about with the double standard on the rule thing. Okay, there was a rule put in place years ago that you could not use a ladder in your boat to be able to look at spawning beds, because Roland Martin won a tournament in Florida. He had a ladder in his boat, and he was able to spot these spawning beds and win the tournament. And then they put a law against it, and they also put a law against a raised deck, above the gunwale of the boat, so you couldn't get a better view of the bass. And then, but at the same time, they make it illegal to use a ladder to get a better look at a bass bed, but they allow you to use a piece of technology that allows you to see a bass bed that you can't even visually see. You can scan this thing up there where you think there's a prime spawning area with the forward-facing sonar. You see the bass on the bed, and then you can torment that bass and harass that bass into biting from looking at it at the forward-facing sonar. We saw the Elite Series pros do it last week at the St. John's River. Terrible look for the sport. Absolutely, it's combining the two most disgusting things in fishing, which is forward-facing sonar and fishing for tournaments, having tournaments on top of the nesting season, all wrapped up into one thing. Okay, so what is it? Why is it illegal to use well, I mean, why is it illegal to use a ladder to get a better viewpoint when you're fishing for spawning fish, but it is not illegal to use the cheater box to find a spawning bed that you probably didn't even know was there and then catch the bass off of it? If that's not the biggest example of a double standard and hypocrisy, I don't know what it is. And we all know what the deal is, because the ladder companies do not subsidize the tournament organizations like the cheater box companies do. Now, if you had a ladder company that said, okay guys, I'm going to pay you $2 million a year and we want a ladder in everybody's boat, you know, or we're going to allow ladders in everybody's boat during spawning season, you'd have ladders in every freaking boat on the Elite Series. It's the same deal with forward-facing sonar. If the electronic companies were not giving any money to the tournament organizations, we would not be having this conversation that we're having right now, and you guys wouldn't have to hear me listening to this every other day on this YouTube channel. But until we get rid of that, and until people in the tournament organizations acknowledge the threat this is to the sustainability of our fishery and the tradition and the heritage of the fishery, of the sport to begin with, we're never going to give up on it. So I don't know if you guys had any, all you guys out there that are under this illusion that, you know, it's just you know, you can't stop change and you can't stop progress, and forward-facing sonar is the greatest thing in the world because it allows people to catch fish without knowing much about fishing. I've heard the argument about it, and then you know, are okay with them, you know, having a law or a rule in there that you can't use a dang ladder in the boat because it's low tech. Then, like I said, then you've been hoodswoggled, because it's obvious what the situation is. Again, it's all about money. Money is the root of all corruption, all greed. We see it in our government today. We see it everywhere. It's all about power. It's all about control. It's all about money. It's all about making a buck. It's all about, you know, all that agenda behind that, you know, and everything else suffers in its wake. Sort of like, you know, that's one of the things about the human species, that we just can't help ourselves. We just are our own worst enemies, and, you know, we destroy everything we touch from our greed so much. We see it all the time with environmental issues. We see it in politics. We see it in business. We see it in every aspect of our life. So maybe eventually we'll wise up and get smart at some point, where we don't let that, you know, control, you know, our ethics and our integrity and our critical thinking skills. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I got much hope for that left anymore. But anyway, guys, let me hear from you all. Do you think it's okay for ladders to be illegal to be used to give an angler a better viewpoint when fishing for spawning fish? Do you think we need to be fishing for spawning fish in tournaments? And why? And if you do, you know, then why do you think? Then how do you justify the use of the cheater box on spawning beds, yet not allow a ladder in the boat? Just give me some feedback on that. So anyway, guys, I hope you're all well. You know, appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll check later on. See you guys.